time to put on Raiders podcast here, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes. So, listen, it's exciting. It'd be nice if it wasn't exciting and the Jags beat the Colts. And just watch two teams just kneel the whole game. That'd be kind of hilarious if they did that. But listen, the Raiders are in this situation because of timely offense, of almost like baseball, timely hitting and great defense. And they played a really good defense in this moment. In these last, ever since they got blown out by Kansas City, I got to give them credit. You kind of brought it up as well that they weren't done yet. And if they could go on a winning streak, it didn't look like they could go on one. But I do think after blowouts, it's people jump off the ship too quickly. It's only one game. They only treat it like one game. We as fans think it's more than one game, but it's not. But the one thing I wanted to talk about before we hit the Raiders defense and the Chargers versus the Chargers offense is I think it's important to win this game for the Raiders for a lot of reasons, but I think it's important for them to do it to stop the Chargers' progress as an organization. I think that Herbert and Staley, it's like the league wants to give them something and they haven't accomplished it yet. They make the playoffs this year. You all of a sudden you get the right free agents, the right draft picks next year, and then it catapults. There's no question that if you go into next year, even as good as Herbert is, there's going to be some doubt around what they're doing because they'll be 9-8. Wasn't much better than what Anthony Lynn did. As far as that goes, he's still going to be looked at as a bright young coach, but his calling card is defense, and they were horrible defensively this year. So I kind of put that in my category of stopping the train. It's important for the Raiders to kind of stop that train for their own progress, but to also halt the progress of the Chargers.
Yeah, it's funny when you said that. The first thing that came to my mind was Dennis Green's press conference. If you want to crown him, crown him. Like, the NFL is trying to crown him. I think this is important for the Raiders in the fact that even Rich Bisaccia, he's got to beat the Chargers. He's already 0-2 to the Chiefs, and neither one of those games was close. And now, if he loses to the Chargers, he's basically 0-3. Those are the teams the Raiders have to measure up with. And as we move forward and we look, to 2022, 2023, because those teams aren't going anywhere.
No.
So, Bisaccia has to show that he can beat those teams. It's great that he can beat up on Nick Mullins, barely, that they can, they went on the road, they beat a good Colts team, but, some of the other teams they've beaten in this winning streak haven't been good teams or they've been playing backup quarterback. So this is an opportunity for Rich Bisaccia to show that he can compete against, some of the better teams in his division, because the Raiders have to be better than the Chargers and or the Chiefs moving forward, or this is not going to be a playoff team over the next couple of years. So I think for the guys in that locker room, they've beaten the Chargers. They beat them last year. I don't think this is a case where, they're going to go in there and if something goes wrong early, they're going to fold. I think that there's enough belief that they can beat this team. We've seen Josh Jacobs run all over the Chargers in past meetings. So I don't think there's an issue of confidence within that locker room, but, they need to stand up and show the league that, the Raiders are here and they're better than the Chargers. So this is their opportunity to do that on a national stage at home.
So what are you looking at as far as we have the Raiders defense against, you talked about Keelan Allen. He scares me. Eckler scares me. Josh Jackson, the running back, he is averaging almost 5 yards a carry. So they don't look like they are a great running team, but they throw so much that when they do slip in that draw play, it usually gets big yardage. Looks like their right side of their offensive line has some issues going into this game, but the left side is solid. What are the things you're worried about as far as the Raiders defense against that Charger offense?
Yeah, to me, it's the Chargers know what the Raiders are going to be in most of the time. They know how to attack this defense. We saw at the first meeting where they schemed them up pretty well with the tight ends. You saw Jared Cook get up the seam, and you saw him score in the end zone up the seam. You saw that that play action where they had the tight end Anderson lined up at fullback. He got deep down the sideline. And then Justin Herbert will absolutely throw the ball in the flats and take what the Raiders are giving him.
Yep.
That concerns me because he's not going to stand back there and pat the ball and let the rush get there. He's not going to force the ball down the field into coverage. He's going to take what they give him. The Raiders have to tackle in this game. They have to get Eckler on the ground. They have to get Keenan Allen over the middle on the ground. I'm not too worried about Mike Williams outside. I think the Raiders can match up there. And they actually held Allen in check in the first game. But they didn't stop the run with Eckler. Eckler ran for like over 100 against them. It was probably like over 130. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that game got out of hand early in the first half. So the Raiders just have to keep this game close, or even get out to a lead, make the Chargers one dimensional. Because if they can turn them into a passing team and unleash the pass rush, the Raiders have a chance here. I was concerned the first time because Storm Norton, I believe, was the right tackle when they played on Monday night, and I thought Max Crosby was going to have a big game. He didn't really do much that game. So Max Crosby is going to have to show up. He's going to have to beat Storm Norton, because I don't think Ngakoue is going to do much. He looks like he's playing hurt, and that rookie over there, Slater, is pretty good. He's probably going to finish in the top 3 in Offensive Rookie of the Year votes behind Chase and Jones. But the pass rush is absolutely going to have to come from the right side of the line or up the middle this week.
Yeah. I was trying to look for what Eckler did, but Eckler did do pretty well against the Raiders last time, as far as that goes. But to me, it's this. I call this part of it like short on short. Like the Raiders want to give you the short stuff, but Lombardi wants the short stuff. So it's kind of like the beginning of the Giant game when I was like Jesus, Daniel Jones was 8 for 8. Well, he's just, and you were like, you texted me back immediately. It was like, well, he's giving him, the little completions out of the backfield, so he's not doing anything great, and that's true. So I mean, are they gonna kind of do some things to kind of jump those routes, maybe, or take away some of those plays, those short plays there, and they had some cover 3 beaters ready to go. And they beat the Raiders that as well. I think this is a critical game for red zone defense. I mean, red zone defense for them is going to be. This is where the game is going to be won and lost. They're not great in special teams ever. The Chargers, I'm not. Some weird things how like certain things follow franchises. They're not great they're not great at it ever, but this is a year where they've been a little bit better there as far as the field goal kicking goes, but you want to make sure they kick some field goals, and it was critical that last drive. I thought the Colts were going in for 7. They didn't. They were able to hold them to a field goal, which made it a little bit easier for the Raiders to win that game 23-20. As far as that goes, Herbert can extend plays. Got to get him down. I mean, when you have him down, you got to get him down, because those plays where he extends it are going to be even more so detrimental to your cause to winning the game. As far as we saw a lot of I saw a lot of moving around at line of scrimmage. People faking like they were coming, dropping back. Sometimes they were coming, like on the blitz that Moreg had, where we almost got Wentz down. Your thoughts about some of the mixing and matching as far as some of the play at the line that the Raiders had against the Colts, and maybe you can see maybe some different looks here second time around for them against Herbert.
Yeah, the key is obviously Bradley's going to have to mix it up, mix in a lot more cover 1, play more man. I think if they just come out and play cover 3 a majority of the game, Herbert's going to be able to slice them up. The key is, can they cover those guys? So like this face-on matchup on the outside, I think he does. Can they cover Allen? That's a big test for Hobbs or Nixon, whoever's in the slot. You definitely don't want Perryman matching up on Cook. Hopefully, that he's on the side of the formation where Diablo's at, but still, Diablo struggles on the coverage. And can they cover out of the backfield? But they're definitely going to have to mix it up. Against the Colts, you saw a lot of KJ Wright. You saw a lot of guys up in the A gap and the B gap, and then linebackers, even safeties. You saw Levitt at times do it, back out pre-snap. I've never seen Gus Bradley blitz with a free safety, so it was good to see him come clean where they showed the overload to the right and they brought the pressure from the left. They're going to have to mix it up because Herbert's a really smart guy, and they're going to have to get the quarterback on the ground when they get around him. They were around Carson Wentz 4 or 5 times and didn't get him on the ground, forced some awkward throws, but Herbert's not going to do that. Herbert will rush the ball at times, and he's going to give them a chance to pick off a ball or two. They're going to have to get turnovers and catch the ball this week. That's the one thing this defense hasn't done, but they have mixed it up a little bit more. I think since Diablo's coming in, and we've talked about this, that I think they've taken a little bit more chances with blitzing, just because of the speed he brings. Max Crosby actually dropped out in coverage again this week. That's the second time in 2 weeks I've seen them bring a simulated pressure where Max Crosby's in coverage. I don't know how much I want to do that. But they're trying, and they're bringing off the slot. You've seen Hobbs come, you've seen Nixon come. they're going to have to be a little bit more creative because it's pretty obvious when the corner's coming. It's easy to point out. And then I think the Chargers are going to throw a lot of screens in this game, and the Raiders are just going to have to defend the screens. They're going to have to get those wide receivers down on bubble screens, and clearly they're going to have to get Eckler on the ground. And you mentioned special teams. The Chargers returned a kick for a touchdown last week against the Broncos. They picked up Roberts, who's a former Pro Bowler, after he was let go by another team earlier this year. So, Rich Bisaccia, if you're listening, just kick the ball out of the end zone every time. Let's not get cute this week and give up field position. Just give it to him at the 25 and make him go 75 yards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, can continue to do. I mean, that is. I mean, it's such an obvious like little trend as well too. Like they kick a field goal, then they kick it short.
Kick it short.
Touchdown, kick it short. Like I mean, let's just not do that anymore, because the last thing you need is to go up 14-0 and then it's 14-7 because your defense didn't get a chance to actually defend it. Levitt and Gillespie is not looking too bad back there, right? As far as that goes. I mean, in the absence of Abram, who is not a guy who gonna remind you of Charles Woodson in coverage.
Yeah, well, Teamer actually started. And he
played
Levitt was in the. Teamer at first glance on the broadcast, I thought it was okay. He had some decent plays. There were some plays in coverage he left open where he was, he wasn't really staying in that curl window. He was shooting out to the flat, so he gave up some slants. Nothing big down the field, but 7-8 yards here or there. They're going to have to clean that up. I don't know if they're going to go back to Levitt this week. Maybe Nixon. Essentially, the strong safety in this defense does the same thing the nickel does on the other side. So there's a chance you could see them mix up the rotation there a little bit. But they're going to have to clean that up. The middle of the field is going to be very important. So whoever the strong safety is and the two backers and nickel, that's where they're going to get attacked this week, and they need to make sure they get guys on the ground because they are going to give up some completions.
Yeah. Whose fault was that on the key? Was it just a flat out blown coverage on the T.Y. Hilton play?
I don't think it's on anyone. I think both guys went for the ball, and watching the replay, I think Merrick thought he had a shot at it. Clearly, Hayward had a shot at it. They were just
I'm sorry. Not that one. The one where he was streaking up the sideline by himself, and he got overthrown by Carson Wentz. You remember that play?
That was on Teamer.
Teamer, okay.
Yeah, they brought a guy in motion, and then they kind of had a stack formation there where they had two receivers, and then Casey Hayward. They both covered the inside guy basically. Mm-hmm. I don't remember off the top of my head what coverage they were in, if it was cover 3 or if it was man. I think it was man, because then I think Teamer should have gone with the outside guy.
Yeah.
But Teamer hasn't played a lot, so he just hasn't had a ton of reps. But yeah, they can't make those mistakes against the Chargers.
Yeah, no, they really can't. They really can't, especially with that. They get some Palmer and even some of their backup wide receivers got some explosiveness, got some giddy up as well. So kind of exhausted that part of it. Do you anything else you want to talk about with the Raiders defense and the Chargers offense here?
Yeah, I think you touched on it. They got to keep Herbert in the pocket, because Herbert doesn't take a ton of shots down the field within structure. They just don't call those kind of plays unless it's a play action.
Scrambles, man.
Yeah. Kind of happens on scrambles. And every once in a while you'll see them, do a boot action on a play action, and they'll try to throw deep back across the field. They kind of have timely shots like that, but Herbert's not doing a 7-step drop in the pocket and throwing the ball down the field. So the Raiders are going to have to get pressure on him and affect him. And they blitzed him quite a bit in the second half, if you remember that first game against the Chargers. So maybe Gus Bradley starts bringing the house this week. I don't know, but if they sit in cover 3 75% of the time, it's going to be trouble.
Yeah. It was almost like the game started at halftime for the Raiders the last time they played them. So hopefully that doesn't happen again as far as that goes. Raiders offense against the San Diego defense. Listen, I mean, you gotta score 30. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to put that kind of pressure on the offensive unit, but this team is not. I know they have names. I understand the names that are on that team. I'm not saying that they're, that Bosa's bad or Derwin James is bad and all that, but I mean, they're giving up a lot of points. They are one of the worst defensive teams in football. The Raiders should be able to move the football against this team. I can understand maybe like the being hype in the first quarter, first half. Once the game settles down, they really should be able to move it against the Chargers all day. I think down the field has been an issue for Asante Samuel. So Asante Samuel Jr. He's been getting, especially in the game against the Texans, he was getting roasted. So I mean, that's a guy who you could pick on as well. I know they have some players that are, that has some nice pedigrees on that squad, but they have not stopped the run all year. The Raiders are getting better at the run at the right time, it looks like. If it's Peyton Barber, if it's Josh Jacobs, if it's Jalen Richard, but the Raiders should be able to move the football. I'm not saying at will, but they should be pretty, smooth sailing as far as moving the football on a consistent basis against this Charger defense.
Yeah, the Chargers give up more points per game than the Raiders. So as much as the Raiders defense has had some leaks in it this year, the Chargers are even worse, and they're even worse against the run. So I'd expect Marcus Mariota to get kind of a similar role that he had last week, maybe 5 to 8 snaps. Just get him in there, make sure that they can cover that zone read, maybe mix in a pass here or there. But for the most part, what I really want to see this team do is be aggressive on 1st and 10 with play action in the first quarter, because the Chargers are going to sell out to try to stop the run, and the Raiders need to take their shots, and that's usually when they do take their shots on 1st and 10. So what I don't want to see is come out on 1st down, run for 2, it's 2nd and 8, run, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, and then now you're playing into the Chargers' hands where they want to play coverage. They're going to give you light boxes. They're not going to bring 2 safeties down. They're going to play too high majority of this game. So if you can take some shots on 1st down, then start mixing in the run when you start moving the ball, they're going to have to do that. Clearly, they're going to have to run the ball. My only concern here is who knows who the crew is. If the Raiders start running the ball and you start seeing some holding penalties and they get into 2nd and 20, 1st and 20, that's when the drives are going to stall. So they have to play pretty clean up front. The Chargers do a really good job on defense. Their linemen like to hold. So they like to grab a hold of the pads of the offensive linemen when they run stunts. So some guys might come free. They like to do it in the running game. But if the Raiders can get downhill, the Chargers linebackers can't stop the run. Kaiser White's a former safety. Drew Tinkle, nice effort player, but he's not a big run stuffer. Kenneth Murray's been benched at this point. The safeties are deep. They'll drop down Derwin James every once in a while if they go into nickel, but they're going to have a chance to run the ball this week against them. I'd like to see them do that. I don't really want to see him force feed the ball to Darren Waller. It sounds like he's going to be back. From reports I've seen from Dr. David Chow, who's the medical expert, former Chargers doctor, says he expects Waller to be at about 65, 66%. So he said we're going to get about 2/3 of what Darren Waller normally is. They can't get into predictable sets where they bring him in only when they're passing. So he's going to have to do some run blocking in this game. But to me, this comes down to that offensive line. Those guys are going to have to earn their money this week if they can play as well as they've played the last couple of weeks. But the key, again, those Chargers backers, they're going to be shooting gaps on 1st and 10 when you turn around to hand the ball off. Play action, throw it behind them. Continue to do what you do with Zay Jones. Get Deshaun Jackson involved. I don't think you're going to get the big shots down the field because I think the Chargers coverage is going to play back. The Raiders are going to have to put together some of those 8 to 10 to 12 play drives and take care of the football. Derek Carr cannot throw 2 interceptions in this game. The Raiders can't afford to do that. But then they do need to still be aggressive, though. They still need to hit those intermediate 10 to 15-yard passes. They can't get into 3rd and 7 and throw a 2-yard ball in the flat, punt the ball, and just think the defense is going to keep them in this game. They're going to have to put up, in my opinion, I know you said 30. I'd say 27. If they get to 21 or 24, it's going to be a last-second field goal. The Chargers are going to score 20 points in this game. I have no doubt about that. I'd be shocked if they didn't, unless they just start turning the ball over. But this is a good offense that the Chargers have. And I watched that game against the Broncos last week. They moved the ball at ease against the Broncos. So this is going to be a tough one. This game to me says a lot about, Derek Carr. Like, he wanted to be in this position. He's talked about it. He has a chance at home against a divisional rival to stomp on him and knock him out and get to the playoffs. If he goes out and plays poorly, I don't want to hear about, hey, the running game wasn't good, or Brandon Parker this or Brandon Parker that. No, Derek Carr has one game. Go out there and win it. As much as we've seen on Twitter about people saying, oh, he's kept them in it, he should be the MVP. This team's won because they've played good defense, and Derek Carr's put together 2 drives a game when he needs to. So Derek Carr has not been carrying this team on offense, regardless of what people want to tell you. He just hasn't. They've turned the ball over 7 times in like the last 3 games. So this is the game where you want to see Derek Carr come out. He doesn't need to throw for 300, but give me 25 for 31 for 260 with 3 touchdowns and no picks, or 2 touchdowns and no picks. Give me something like that with no fumbles. Get the running game going, like I said, and Darren Waller. Hopefully, I don't expect a huge game, but give me 5 for 60, something like that. Just be a threat in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, and hopefully Daniel Carlson makes a kick to win the game again.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, it could be like one of those games where last team who has it, these teams are flawed. These teams are very similar in a lot of ways. But, to me, I mean, I could, listen, the Raiders, it would be kind of fitting if it was Derek and something with Rashard, the two of the guys who've been here the longest, get them over the hump and get to the playoffs. That'd be a cool story, but we're here for reality, not stories as far as how we do our show. I just really don't. I mean, I think the Raiders have the opportunities to really to take hold of the game, to win the game, but I just don't. I can't say I love them in this game. What were your thoughts about the picking the winner of the game?
I'm actually pretty confident. I'm usually not, but I think for everything that's gone on this season, everything the Raiders have faced, they have a chance at home on Sunday night in front of a national audience. And they've played well in this type of scenario. They beat the Saints last year at home on Monday Night Football when no one thought they could do it. They beat the Ravens opening weekend on Monday Night Football. No one thought they could do it. But I think this team, after the 3 games they put together, and they played fairly well last week, I think they're going to be pumped up, and I think that they're going to come out. I think the Chargers are the ones that are going to have to basically hold the storm against the Raiders in the first quarter, because I can see this team coming out and just moving the ball early and taking a 10-point lead, kind of like they did in Indianapolis, and putting the Chargers behind the 8 ball. And then how are they going to play? To me, the key is, what do they do in the second and third quarters? Because that's always been the issue. They might get up, but they have to keep the pedal to the metal. Field position, I think, is going to be important here too. And then just be aggressive. Because like you said, I think Brandon Staley is going to take chances. He's a rookie coach. He doesn't care. If it's 4th and 3 at his own 46, he's going to go for it. So, if Rich Bisaccia gets in a 4th and 1, a 4th and 2 at midfield, he's going to have to go for it. Hopefully they have a good play call. But I think everything that's happened to the Raiders, and we're talking about one game, they have a chance to go out there and prove everyone wrong. Mm-hmm. I could see them coming out and playing a pretty good game this week.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm talking myself into it.
I know. Listen, I actually think that, despite all the names, despite all the names on the back of the jerseys and all stuff like that, I just feel like the Raiders are a better team. I think that they're a better team. They're more under control defensively. There's no gaping holes. I mean, that play to T.Y. Hilton has been a play we've seen over and over again in our years, and we've seen that play completed and going for an 80-yard touchdown for years. They don't give up those plays. Those plays are so infrequent that, it's like, okay, that happened. They missed that play. I felt confident that you're not going to see them blow another coverage like that again. Like that's how disciplined they are in Gus Bradley's system. I just have to say, like, until Derek does this, I can't pick him in this spot. I think it's just the fairest. I hate to say it like that. Like, it's like, and until he actually does it, I can't pick him in the spot. I don't feel great about being confident in a quarterback who has more turnovers than. This is the reality. I'm not a hater. Okay. I'm not a hater. This is fact. I'm giving you fact. On our podcast, we tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Like, he has more turnovers than touchdown passes. If you had to say to yourself, close your eyes tomorrow and say, both of those quarterbacks are playing, who's going to ball out and play lights out? Who is more likely to ball out and play lights out? You can't say Derek. I just wouldn't say, you can't say Derek. You would be more likely in your mind envision a 27 for 32, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns from Herbert, who has almost 40 touchdown passes, opposed to 21 by Derek. That's just, and he's dealt with some injuries too. People have been in and out of the lineup stuff like that. So I would say fast start, heartbreak hotel at the end. The Raiders, the Raiders find a way to kind of kick it away a little bit in the end. I hope I am absolutely wrong. Like I've been, I think I've been wrong every. I think the only game I picked them to win in this winning streak was a Bronco game because the Broncos are so horrible. But I mean, it's almost like, do I trust him in the first quarter to make it a non-competitive game? Like, because that's where his comebacks come from. His inability to put teams away, under throwing a Deshaun Jackson up the sideline where you just throw it out there. It's a touchdown. Like, things like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm scoring for 20 years of doing this, but you kind of feel my thought process on that.
No, I've lived it for 20 years. So you got a score prediction before I give mine?
I would say Chargers. Let's see, 24-23.
Okay.
Because I just
that definitely is a heartbreaker to lose by one.
Because I just feel like and I just feel like the Raiders are just not, especially in the red zone. Like if I could just see Derek just like, he hasn't thrown 3 touchdowns in a passing league. Your quarterback hasn't thrown the ball, hasn't thrown touchdown passes. Hasn't thrown 3 touchdown passes all year in a game. It's puzzling how Waller never gets red zone touches. I mean, or gets in the end zone. I'm just trying to get the reality of the offensive side of it. I think the defense is going to play their lights. They're going to play their hearts out, and they're going to play really well, and they're going to make some plays. But they're not a defense that gets turnovers or gets pick sixes or force the quarterback to fumble the football and run it back for a touchdown. They don't do stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like 20. I think late touchdown by Herbert. 24-23. I think the Raiders are going to dominate like the majority of the game, and people are going to be dancing in the stands, thinking that they're going to the playoffs. And I think that's when the Versace bubble gets busted.
No, that's fair. It's definitely a fair analysis on what you think is going to happen. I'm going to go. I think the Raiders are going to get out early. I'm going to say 10-0 in the first quarter, kind of like they did last week. I think that the emotion's going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything's going to settle down. I think you're going to see the Chargers be able to move the ball and pick apart this offense. I think we're going to see kind of another lull like we've seen, like a 3 to 5 minute stretch where the Raiders turn the ball over, something happens.
Yeah.
But I think there's just so much riding here. I think that somehow, some way, they're going to find a way at the end of this game to win it. And I don't think it's going to come down to Carlson. I think Carr's going to have to drive him down the field for a touchdown. And I just think, something happens at the end of this game. The Raiders find a way to win. I'm going to go 30-28. Derek Carr throws a touchdown, maybe to Renfro with like 30 seconds left in this game. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. And you're right. Derek hasn't thrown 3 touchdowns in a single game all season. And he's played 16 games. He has 21 touchdowns. And I kind of just glanced at it yesterday. I was looking at it, or maybe it was on Monday. The top 10 quarterbacks in terms of yardage in the league all have over 30 touchdowns except for one. And Derek Carr has 21. So that's almost 30% less touchdown production than every other quarterback in the top 10. As far as touchdown percentage, he was like 23rd in the league, and he was under some pretty bad names as far as number of passes to go for touchdowns. So, that's always been the concern. We can talk about his red zone targets. They don't run the ball there. They don't have guys, but he's got Renfro. He's going to have Waller. They can diagram some plays up, maybe, get Jacobs involved, but I think they're going to be able to move the ball. There might be one big turnover. I don't think they're going to turn over 3 times. So I have the Raiders winning this game 30-28 on a late touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, listen, I'm hoping for it. I think that basically the hell that Gruden and Ruggs put this, these fan base through. The Raider fans deserve to have. Who cares what happens in the playoffs? Just to have that week of like we made the playoffs and just talk playoff football in Vegas. The Chargers have a baby head coach. They have a baby quarterback. And when I say baby, I mean just like they're just really young. I don't mean that they're actual like jerks or like babies, whatever like that. Like I'm just saying like they're very young, they're young people, so they can come back and next year and in the following years to kind of torment the Raiders then. But it'd be nice to see him actually win this game, and hopefully Pasaccia makes it a hard decision for Mark Davis and wins a couple games or wins at least a game in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens there. But you got it 24-23, and I know I got it 24-23. You have it 30-28.
I think the defense scores this week, so that's how I get to 30.
They have to. Well, they shouldn't. They shouldn't have to get 30, but that's probably what have to happen if they do. So
what I don't want to hear is if they somehow don't win this game and it's like 24-13 or something like that, or 24-16. I don't want to hear any excuses for the offense. The offense hasn't been putting points on the board for 2 months, other than the Dallas game.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, you look if you look at this game, like if you can't,
and those are all pass interferences.
Yes, and if you cannot score 28 points, 24-28 points in a game against the Chargers, then I'm not sure what you're doing. I don't want you to
give up 26 a game.
I mean, you just hit the average, and the way you're playing defense this year, you should be able to come out and win. As far as that goes, you just surprised me a little bit though with the Harbaugh thing. I thought I didn't realize. So some of the folks who follow that team say that he's itching. Maybe that itch might be more serious as far as that goes. Him leaving the Wolverines.
Yeah, so Bruce Feldman reported, big ESPN college football reporter. I've seen other college football reporters say like they've been hearing it for the last month and a half. They just haven't been able to report it because they don't have concrete details. But it seems like this has been going on behind the scenes for about 4 to 6 weeks now.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens. I still think it's for an extension.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I wonder if it gets to that point, then if the Broncos fire Fangio, and then what's Trent Baalke's contract with the Jags? I mean, he'll probably bring the whole gang from San Francisco back to.
Well, I don't think Harbaugh's going to go anywhere near where Baalke is, and I've also read some stuff that basically says that when coaches start interviewing with the Jaguars, they're going to let it be known to Shad Khan that they don't want Trent Baalke there. So it sounds like they might have to force their hand to get rid of Trent Baalke if they can get the coach, some of these upper echelon coaches. But you're going to see Black Monday on Monday. I fully expect Matt Nagy is going to get let go. Fully expect Fangio to let go. Zimmer is going to get let go.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be 6 or 7 openings by the time we get to next Wednesday. And then interesting enough too, even if the Raiders do decide, I don't think people understand this, but if the Raiders do decide to keep Rich Bisaccia, because he's the interim, there is no loophole. They still have to interview 2 minority candidates from outside the organization. I had someone ask me today, is Rich Bisaccia a minority candidate? And I was scratching my head, like, why would an Italian American who grew up in Yonkers be a minority candidate? So I had to I'm on Google, Wikipedia, like, is there something that I don't know about?
Yeah, was he? Yeah, did he have like a black uncle or something?
Is his mom a quarter? Like, if Italians make you a minority, so our German coach is minority. Like, I don't know what these people are reaching for, but
that was funny.
My understanding, he is not.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have. I still think it is. I do still think that even though it sounds like it's a sham sometimes. But when I hear the minority candidates candidates say it's valuable to them to get interviewed and be in that situation, then I think we should still have it. I think it'd be nice if we had a world where it didn't matter, but we live that world, and then when we have that world, nobody gets hired. So and then Tomlin is, and you would think there'd be a run on such people when you look at Tomlin's record, never having a losing record, stuff like that. And it's been, and there's also been like Dungy, people, Jim Caldwell is a guy who I like a lot. So we'll see what happens there as far as that goes. Go ahead.
The other end, I'll touch on this. The other thing that leads me to believe there is some smoke with Harbaugh is, who are the 4 candidates that have kind of been reported that the Raiders are interested in? So internally, it's been Bisaccia and Bradley, which they're going to get interviews regardless. But who are the external candidates that the Raiders have been tied to? Todd Bowles, Leslie Frazier.
Yeah.
If the Raiders want to hire Jim Harbaugh, they have to interview 2 minority candidates. And it's interesting, the only 2 names that have been tied to the Raiders are minority candidates. that are outside the organization. So I think, when I was thinking about that today, I'm like, it's kind of interesting. Those are the only two names we've heard tied to the Raiders that might get interviews. So I think that gives it a little more credence to maybe Mark Davis already has his mind made up here.
10 years, 10 million, 10 million, 100 million.
No, I'm not doing that, but I want him to go through a whole process, interview guys. Like, if they jump on Harbaugh next week, I don't know I would call the process a sham again, but I'm not against hiring him as the head coach, but I just don't think that the true, essence of the process to do it properly, I think they're kind of skirting it again, the same way they did with Gruden. So we'll see.
Question, yeah. I was gonna say I think it was you who put in our chat about the guy, was it Wynn, who they wanted to be the president of the team? So
yeah.
it was funny because there were fights on Twitter about that, like, with Scott Gilbranson and John Middlecoff about it, where they're talking about, hey, one guy was like, no football experience. The other guy was like, the president is more involved in the business side of it, is not involved in not really part of the football side of it. What are your thoughts about him as a possible candidate? I didn't get a chance to kind of look anything up about him.
Yeah, the interesting thing from reading the article is, like, I think the guy made something like $24 million last year. He pocketed from Wynn. So clearly he's not going to get anywhere near that kind of compensation. So he'd be walking away from a big payday. But again, if you've made $100 million over the last 5 years and you live in Vegas, like, money's not an issue. Maybe he does want the opportunity to come over. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with it. He's just going to be handling the business side of it. And that guy probably knows every connection in Vegas. There was another report after that New York Post article from Mick Ayers of the Review Journal, who said there's not much credence to it. So it sounds like the New York Post may have got some bad information, but clearly Mark is trying to fill that president job. And I don't think I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, well, the president should be hired first and he should hire the GM. That's not how it works. Like, the GM doesn't report to the president. The GM is going to report to Mark. The president just needs to handle the business aspect of it and have an understanding of all the relationships he has to cultivate within that Las Vegas metro area. So that guy seems like he would be a candidate for that.
And last on Hobbs, it seems like kind of the same situation as Jacobs, like he's no charges or just an embarrassment of happening again with the Raiders in Vegas.
Yeah, it sounds like, and kind of reading between the lines, what some of the local beat reporters tweeted out, that Hobbs is going to play. It sounds like the Raiders have gotten information. It sounds like there either wasn't a blood alcohol test taken, or if there was, he was below the legal minimum, under the legal limit. So it sounds like if he does get charged with something, it'll be a lesser charge than a DUI. So kind of like how Josh Jacobs' charges dropped because his blood alcohol was below the limit. So it seems like the Raiders may have dodged a bullet there. I would think if there was more information about that arrest, and now we're talking, it's Wednesday night, that happened Sunday night, you would hear something in the news about other details. We haven't heard any other details. So, and then you started to hear those reports today that his blood alcohol content wasn't taken or was below the legal limit. So I think the Raiders may have dodged a bullet there, but these players really need to clean it up in Vegas. Like, that can't happen after what happened with Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that thing. It's that male ego thing where they just don't want people in their business. They feel like, and the league is telling you they're going to send you an anonymous driver. Just let us know where you're at. Like, Uber, Lyft, all those services are there. Whenever I go out, when I went to Vegas, we had plenty of drinks. We had some time. We had a good time, and when it was time to go home, I used the app. That's what these phones are made for.
What I'd like to see, and I mean, they probably do this, I don't know, but the leaders within each position group, Casey Hayward, like, tell all the DBs, hey, if you're in any sort of situation, any alcohol and you need a ride, call me. KJ Wright with the linebackers, Denzel Perryman, maybe, Max Crosby, or, someone in that defensive room, someone in each position group should take hold of this. And hopefully they have, and basically be the leader of those groups and say, hey, any time of day, call me, text me. Like, let's not have these incidences anymore.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, it's not worth your life, man. Come on, dude. Let's just stop.
No.
Let's just stop. And somebody else's life too. Like, come on. I mean, look what happened with Andy Reid's son. Somebody's paralyzed now. Like it's just
A
bad.
5-year-old kid.
It was a 5-year-old kid in that story.
Yeah,
That's tough.
pretty sure.
That's tough. All right, Red Nation. I am not ready. When I say I'm not ready, I am not ready for the Senior Bowl and the draft and all the stuff. Let's just give me one more week of Raider football here. And next week, hopefully, Ryan and I will be doing a playoff edition of the Put On Raiders podcast here on anywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on anywhere you can listen to podcasts. So hopefully we can get that going for you as well. Ryan, thanks again. Have a great night, and Raider Nation, peace.
Yeah. And hopefully on Sunday we're saying on to Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yes, not KC.
Yeah.
All right, Raider Nation, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you. We appreciate it. Don't forget to check out my articles on the Raiders on Sports Time HQ as well. And you can find Ryan Holmes' breakdowns on Twitter, RHOLM22 at Twitter. See you, Raider Nation.